When I first got involved with DCF, I knew exactly what was happening. I knew that my ex was at their office and he was just telling them all kinds of lies and things that weren't true and that he had orchestrated. I was with my son when he was at the park, and he was actually pushed by another child who was a little older. The other child was probably 5 or 6. My son was 2.5 at the time, and he fell down some stairs that were leading up to a slide, and he toppled, and hit his chest and then his butt. I emailed my ex right away because I knew he was going to make a big deal out of this, and I took pictures right away. So my ex, when he saw that my son had bruises on his butt, he took this as an opportunity to use this to try and say that I was abusing him so that he could get full custody of my son. He brought him to 2 different doctors, actually, and got one of them to file a 51A. The 2 doctors that my ex brought my son to, neither of them were his primary care doctor, and they were both in New Hampshire. One of them was a walk-in clinic, urgent care clinic, and all the doctor said was that it was an injury and that it was on his butt. And then DCF just took it and ran with it. DCF actually told my ex to bring my son to Boston Children's, where they still didn't say that it was non-accidental, but they said that they couldn't say one way or the other whether it was accidental or not, and DCF took that as they had enough that they needed from the doctor to say that I was abusing my son. DCF didn't have enough from that doctor to pin this on me and say that it was intentional. So what they did was they first contacted me, and I came to the office and they asked me questions, but they never got my side of the story. They asked me questions about my life and who I lived with, and they're just trying to get anything they could to blame these injuries on me. So they weren't specific, but they were saying that I was somehow responsible for some injuries that my son had. And they didn't tell me really anything else. They just said that they were going to remove my son from me. I was really scared and anxious. My son has meant everything to me since he was born. Everything I do, I work and I had a house and I maintain it just so that I can raise him. And I felt like that was all being taken away from me. And the whole time that this was going on, and it lasted a year, I felt like it was that feeling that you get when you can't see your son when you're at the park and you just lose sight of him for a second. Oh my God, where is he? What's happening to him? I felt like that for a year. I was terrified. So if one of my friends or someone I knew had this happen to them and they were getting phone call or were contacted by DCF, I would tell them not to say a word to DCF. Don't let them in your house. Don't meet with them. And to call, the best lawyer you can, the best lawyer you can find to try and fight this and to be on your side, because anything you say, they'll take it and run with it. So you need all your communication with DCF to go through a lawyer. It's not worth the risk, even if you didn't do anything. It's not worth risking having your children taken away from you. My dad's a lawyer, and my aunt is also a lawyer, so his sister. And then we also have a family lawyer in New Hampshire. The attorney in New Hampshire said, you need to go hire the best lawyer you can who specializes in this. The family lawyer in New Hampshire, I think, knew he was in over his head, which I'm glad that he said that. And then when they did some research, they found Attorney Seaver, who, pretty much all he does, as far as I know, is DCF cases. And he's the best lawyer we could find because I felt like I was fighting for my life and my son's life, so we just needed to find the best. So we first started researching DCF attorneys, so attorneys that specifically dealt with DCF. My father called me and said, you gotta talk to this guy. He's great. He knows what he's doing. So that's the first time I spoke to Attorney Seaver, and he really made me feel like things could be okay, because I didn't think anything was going to be the same again. So after meeting with Attorney Seaver, I felt like things might be okay. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but I knew that he was going to be on my side and that he had done this before. And he really is knowledgeable about what kind of cases DCF supports, and then the whole process with the fair hearing. And so yeah, he was able to give me some hope that things might be okay and that I might be able to get my son back. So after meeting with Attorney Seaver, we made a plan. We had filed the necessary documents to get a fair hearing. The plan up until then was just to prepare for the fair hearing as much as we could. The strategy and the plan that Attorney Seaver laid out was very easy to follow. I think he made it idiot-proof, for lack of a better word. So Attorney Seaver made me feel comfortable with the whole process. So with the fair hearing, we had all our ducks in a row going into it. Attorney Seaver believed me, and he did believe in the case and that DCF was just being terrible. Which was all true. Attorney Seaver definitely was very well prepared for the fair hearing. We had tons of evidence. During the fair hearing, it was, yeah, I felt comfortable. Attorney Seaver was definitely professional and courteous and kind to especially me and my family, but he was cordial with DCF. It's hard to be kind to them because they're jerks, but yeah. Yeah, so he's definitely professional with everyone that we came in contact with. So yeah, Attorney Seaver was great to everyone, to all of us. So Attorney Seaver definitely remained professional while cross-examining DCF, but it was so obvious that what they were doing was wrong, first of all, and that they didn't have any of the evidence that they said they had, and he just made them look like fools, which was great because they are, and they did a foolish thing. So, and then afterward, he wrote up, I think it was like 20 pages it was a brief about the case, and I found out that it was reversed. It was, yeah, I felt like I got my life back, and it was just such a huge relief. When we got the final result that it had been reversed, my family, my father, he's a lawyer, and then my aunt, who's also a lawyer, and our family lawyer, and everyone involved, really. I had extended family that knew about this too, and yeah, they were all thrilled with the result. So I had my son back, or I have my son back, and we're doing really well, and I'm a better person, I think, for having experienced all this, and I'm really glad that we called Attorney Seaver to work with us through this whole thing, because he really was a great guide through the process, because it can be complicated at times. Call Attorney Seaver. So the reason I would say to call Attorney Seaver is that he's the authority on DCF in Massachusetts. He's been doing this for a long time. He has a lot of success, and he just knows what he's doing because he's been doing it for so long, and he's really good at it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I would consider Attorney Seaver a 10. I would definitely use him as a lawyer again in a heartbeat if I were involved with DCF.